Her unhinged brother is in love with his own sister, but still wants to marry her off to another man. It's fine, in 2 years at most. He'll just snatch her back. She was wearing a revealing formal dress. To attract the man before her, Theodor Valentino. He was the marriage candidate her father had chosen for her, and just as planned, he noticed her. In fact, his gaze never left her. Lilith felt nothing but humiliation. Dressing like this wasn't her intention. Aren't you cold? A coat, still warm from his body, was draped over her. He tilted his head, as if confirming something. You're Lilith Everitt? It wasn't a question, but a statement of fact. That outfit isn't very suitable for a walk. Although his reminder was well-intentioned, it only made her more ashamed. This was their first meeting. A few days ago, her father had unilaterally informed her that she was to marry Duke Valentino. Lilith thought her father was insane. Then again, that was normal. Her entire family was insane. The Valentino family had protected the North since the kingdom's founding. The head of each generation formed a pact with a powerful spirit. But for the past 10+ years, disaster had plagued their lands. The previous Duke and Duchess, and even the heir to the house, all passed away in succession, leaving only the young Theodor to hold the territory together. The disaster had not yet abated. Therefore, they desperately needed aid. But the nobles, led by her father, deliberately isolated the young Duke. Her father intended to use the marriage alliance to swallow the entire Valentino territory. Getting to marry Theodor, you must be thrilled, right? Her insane second brother appeared. The girl paid him no mind. Lilith Everitt, are you ignoring me? Hyson, I have nothing to say to you. But her words enraged the man. He snatched a pair of scissors from the table. You lowly woman, you're not even an Everitt by blood. Do you really think marrying a duke will change anything? If all this hadn't happened, a man like Theodor would be completely out of your league. He stormed out, slamming the door in a rage. A young maidservant approached her, her face filled with concern. She must be new. The other servants were never kind to her. Maybe it wouldn't be long before this one became just like them. She asked the Baroness if they could continue tomorrow. On the way back to her room, she ran into her eldest brother, the next head of the Everitt family. Brother Lord Lennon. Lilith, you should just call me brother. You get more beautiful every day. She wanted to cut his tongue out. He was openly flirting with his own sister. I heard father is having you marry Valentino? I've always found that man to be an eyesore. It would be perfect if we could exploit his weakness through this marriage. Lily, I do hope you'll be of some use this time. She wasn't a child of the Everitt family. The Duke only had 2 sons, and he needed a daughter to trade with other noble houses. So, he adopted her for her silver hair. Don't you worry. If Duke Valentino refuses to marry you, then I'll marry you myself. For Lilith, this place was no different from hell. If she married Duke Valentino, could she escape this place? But that was highly improbable. The Everitt family, who would stop at nothing for power, and the Valentino family, who upheld justice and morality, were like ice and fire. Even so, she still held on to a sliver of hope. That one day someone would reach out and help her escape this hell. On her father's orders, Lilith put on a stunning dress and went to the ball. She'd heard so many rumors about him, but that only made her purely curious. If he really was as exceptional as the rumors claimed, then they were even more unsuited for each other. I can't bear to watch this. Was it really necessary for you to get all dressed up? It was her second brother again. Do you really think your face will work on a block of wood like him? What, are you captivated by me? Hyson looked as if his true feelings had just been exposed. He flew into a rage out of embarrassment. Are you out of your mind? Get back to your room now. But father ordered me to go to the garden. If you don't want me to be seen by others dressed like this, then you go and try to convince father. Teasing her arrogant second brother was actually quite amusing. It was cold in the garden. She hugged herself to try and stay warm. Lilith didn't think her face could possibly enchant Theodor, although her father was very confident. Before long, she was waiting for the man. He seemed to only be stopping by for a moment. He was just about to leave when he suddenly turned his head and looked at her. Lilith never would have thought that Valentino, who had consistently refused the marriage alliance, would suddenly agree to the marriage after meeting her. And her brother, he didn't let her off the hook just because she was getting married. Her younger brother Hyson stayed in her room, telling her how brutally her future husband would treat her. He must be dying to strangle you, right? If he wasn't being threatened by father for the territory, why would he ever marry you? Poor Theodor. To think he has to marry someone like you. Lilith didn't pay him any attention. She was lost in her own thoughts. Hyson said, how about you beg me? Hyson walked in front of her. His expression was strange. It was as if he was expecting something, a mix of shame and a conflicted struggle. Lilith, what are you talking about? The girl's cold attitude completely infuriated him. Enough. Stop pretending to be so innocent. Hurry up and beg me. Say you don't want to go through with this marriage. Say you don't want to sacrifice yourself. Go on, beg me to save you. Hyson Everitt, what do you two think you're doing? Let her go and get out. Ha, what is it, my amazing older brother? I have something important to discuss with Lilith. You should leave first. Can't you just say it in front of me? Don't make me drag you out of here. Get out while I'm still asking nicely. Are you deaf? I said I'm not leaving. What? Are you planning to do something you can't be seen doing? Owen wasted no more words. He unleashed his magic. He seized Hysan's wrist, and frost immediately condensed from his palm. But he released him just as quickly. It was clearly a warning. Hysan dropped the stubborn act, shot him a look that said just you wait, and left. Owen sat down across from her. Lilith Everitt. Yes, brother. The girl who had been so cold to Hysan was exceptionally obedient in front of Owen. While I don't have high expectations for you, you need to try your best to charm Theodor. It will benefit us if he's obedient. And don't forget, even after you marry that guy, and you are still mine, Lily. Until death. No, even in death, you will forever belong to the Everitt family. Don't you forget that. The girl replied like a puppet. I will remember, brother. He caressed the girl's face. Such an obedient girl. Good night then, Lily. If she had the courage to resist Hysan, then Owen was her inescapable nightmare. Hysan always bullied her, but it was mostly just verbal. For example, she was about to get married now, but Hysan was still intimidating her. If it weren't for the Valentino family's financial collapse, someone like you would never have had the chance to marry into a ducal house. Lily looked indifferent. I know that. Hysan felt like he'd punched a wad of cotton, so angry he started spouting nonsense. Marrying Theodor will surely lead to Lily didn't care. On the contrary, she had already learned how to manipulate Hysan's emotions. All she had to do was smile at him, and he would look completely flustered. She used the gentlest voice to say the cruelest words to him. Hysan, I wouldn't ask you for help even if I had to write it myself. I've had enough of you and Owen. I sincerely hope you both die. Newly married, and before a single word was spoken, her husband forcibly kissed her. She was clearly the one being wronged, yet he was the one with the hurt expression. Her father had succeeded in selling her off. His congratulations were completely pretentious. Lily, you look so beautiful today. She said, thank you, with her lips. It's all thanks to you, but in her heart, she knew very well. This transaction seemed to have satisfied him greatly. The music at the wedding. The flower petals dancing through the air as a blessing, and the crowd of watching guests. In her eyes, it was all a farce. She was a little curious. That man thinks so too? Regardless, they were already husband and wife. As for her opinion of Theodor, because of that warm coat, Lily had a favorable impression of him. But when she tried to return the coat, the maid flatly refused. She said the coat was dirty and that Lily could do whatever she wanted with it. It wasn't surprising. After all, to him, she was a detestable Everitt. She didn't hate him, and she wouldn't resent him. Lily made up her mind. She could not fall for him. She had to maintain an emotional distance from him. The way her heart raced when their eyes met that day was just a temporary phenomenon. The sound of a door opening interrupted her thoughts. Theodor, who had probably just finished bathing, walked in with his clothes in disarray. Lily's heart began to race again. He noticed the girl's gaze. He let out a short laugh. His deep blue eyes were filled with sarcasm. Lily just watched as he approached, before being roughly pulled to her feet. Without any warning, he suddenly kissed her. It wasn't a simple kiss. He was actually transferring the wine he had just been drinking. All of it, into her mouth. He gripped her tightly. Enough. Lily cried, struggling to pull away. She choked on the wine. Because of Hysan's big mouth. She hadn't expected anything anyway, so she just decided to give up. Do whatever you want. Theodor's expression changed. He pushed her down. This isn't what I want. This is what you wanted, isn't it? He didn't even give her a chance to explain. Lily could only try her best to convince herself that this was to be expected. How could he possibly be gentle with her? But when she got a clear look at Theodor's face, everything seemed to be turned on its head. That was definitely not the expression of a cruel man. Why would he look like that? But he harshly slapped her hand away. It was as if he instantly regretted his own actions. Finally, as if he'd made some sort of decision, he closed his eyes, refusing to look at Lily again. This should be enough. Your father won't suspect a thing. And he picked up a pair of scissors from nearby and walked towards her again. He raised them and stabbed down. He bit marks onto his wife's neck, and cut open his palm, letting the blood drip onto the bed. It was all to create the illusion that the marriage had been consummated. After all, theirs was a political marriage. There's no need for us to do something we both don't want to. I'll let your family use me as they wish. Once this marriage has served its purpose, we'll get a divorce. It was only after Theodor left that Lily realized. She wasn't as indifferent as she had thought. But back then, she didn't yet understand. It was like being pierced by an invisible arrow, a wound you cannot see. One that doesn't heal with the passing of time. A few days later, they arrived in Valentino. The devastation here was far more tragic than anything she had heard. It was the first time she had ever seen such a sight. This is all because of the Everitts. Her stomach started to churn. The young maid cried out, "My lady." But just as she spoke, Theodor threw open the door with a tense look on his face. A second later, his expression soured. "I heard a noise in the carriage, so I came to see what was wrong. It seems the sight is turning the stomach of the noble Miss Everitt. We're almost in the city." Just bear with it. Lily's wanted to explain that wasn't it, but the door had already been shut. The young maid looked worried. Lily hadn't expected Charlotte to willingly come with her. No one from the Everitt household had wanted to come with her. After all, choosing her meant choosing a future path lined with thorns. Maybe she shouldn't have brought her along. My lady, I think the Duke is very worried about you. He noticed something was wrong right away, and even came to check on you himself. Lily smiled bitterly. When they arrived at the castle, he dutifully upheld his obligations as expected. Lily took his hand, but her legs had gone numb from sitting for so long. Her foot slipped, and she stumbled right into Theodore. He caught her instinctively. Both of them looked completely stunned. Lily looked up, her face nearly touching his. Suddenly, someone called out to them. It was Theodore's aunt, Anna Seymour. Before his mother passed away, she had asked Anna to look after her young sons. That's why she was now in charge of managing the castle. Their aunt welcomed them home. Theodore turned away, but there was a flicker of worry in his eyes. So this was the place she would be living from now on. Lily began to wonder, when did her life start to go so wrong? Was it from the moment she was born, to a maid and a passing vagrant? The laughable thing is, her mother didn't even know the man's name. She should just go on living quietly. Not do anything, don't expect anything, and no matter what feelings start to sprout, she must crush them immediately. At every homecoming ball since, she sat with her husband. The two of them didn't exchange a single word. Even this ball was held only because Everitt wanted it. She wanted to leave. Suddenly, her husband called out to her. Tay, let's not use overly affectionate terms with each other. I never planned on maintaining this marriage until the day I die. I imagine you feel the same way, so there's no need to waste our emotions. After all, we aren't each other's ideal partner. She clutched her dress, restraining herself. Yes, I understand, but this seemed to displease him. He turned away and started downing his wine. He was so infuriating. The little maid greeted her with a smile. The pressure of the banquet was immense, making her feel extremely uncomfortable. Suddenly, she froze. The girl's hands were covered in wounds. She looked around. They were the only ones in the large bathroom. Charlotte? Did the others here isolate you? She had escaped the control of her tyrannical brothers, only to stumble into another hell. And the little maid who accompanied her was being bullied but refused to say a word. To Charlotte, she herself could be cursed and humiliated, but not her lady. She couldn't even bear to hear those awful words said about her. Even when Lily asked, she would just say she was strong and it was okay. But how could Lily, who had been through it all, not understand? I know what you're worried about. A lot of people in this house dislike me. You're afraid that if you cause a scene, they'll hate me even more, right? The little maid was silent. After a moment, she said she was sorry. Lily, why are you apologizing? You're suffering like this because of me. My lady, that's not it. This is happening to me because I'm an orphan. Then Charlotte, do you want to go back to Everitt? Lily thought this was for the best, but unexpectedly, the little maid started to cry. I love being by your side. Even if I go back, no one will welcome me. I have no one left. It was only then that Lily realized. Just as keeping Charlotte by her side brought her comfort, she was also Charlotte's comfort. They were like two animals licking each other's wounds. As long as someone cared about her and worried for her, what did a few wounds to her heart matter? The next day, she ordered the butler to summon the maids who assisted Charlotte. You called for us, my lady? You're Laura, correct? Why haven't you been properly assisting my maid? Do you know that's called dereliction of duty? This secret bullying of her maid was simply in such poor taste. Laura tried to defend herself. It's because there's too much to handle. The Valentino estate isn't doing well. Everyone is very busy. Most of us are doing the work of two people. How would you listen to that? Was she trying to lecture her? No matter what, she was the Duchess of Valentino. They had even skipped basic etiquette. Regardless, if I have any shortcomings as the lady of the house, it should be my husband or my elders who tell me. The maid finally realized the new lady was not to be trifled with. What's all this noise? It was her husband's aunt, Mrs. Simon. She didn't ask Lily, but instead looked to the butler for an explanation. After listening, she turned to the maids. It seems everyone has been very busy lately. But even so, she should have done her duty. With just a few words, she completely glossed over something that should have been investigated. Lily, I've already warned them. Please, calm down. They're usually obedient children. They won't cause any more trouble. The subtext was clear. I'm the one who calls the shots in this house. And you have no power. But she's just so good at keeping up appearances. Lily had no choice but to warn her, if they properly assist Charlotte from now on, then naturally, I won't say another word. Simone's tone suddenly shifted. Actually, I have a suggestion. Why don't you go and inspect the territory? Lily froze. So, she was trying to humiliate her, wasn't she? She'd had enough. But she refused to get used to being bullied. What if I just died? It would be revenge on both our families and start a war. But if I died, what would happen to Charlotte? Lily forced a smile back on her face. Very well, I'll go as soon as I'm ready. Her aunt frowned as Lily walked past her. Arriving in Valentino perhaps for her, it was just like entering another hell. Theodor stood by the window, watching his wife's carriage depart. Although she had expected it, this place was far more wretched than she could have imagined. She had deliberately worn her simplest dress. But it felt like a cruel irony. Lily was at the relief station, helping to hand out food when suddenly, a rock struck her on the head. Go die, you witch, you and your filthy Everitt blood. A knight instantly rushed to protect her. Even as the attacker was pinned to the ground, he didn't stop screaming curses. It's all your fault, you and your demonic father and brothers. This place is like this because of you. I curse you, you will all pay for what you've done. Everyone here resented her, even though she had done nothing. But come here to hand out food. They hated her simply because her name was Everitt. Even though that man wasn't her biological father, the eyes of everyone here were filled with accusation. It was a constant reminder. No one here is on your side. We all despise you. Her husband was in tears. But she didn't dare go to him, hiding behind a tree and hoping he wouldn't see her. But Theodor's sharp eyes found her anyway. Ever since Lily had witnessed the tragic state of the territory, even after being hit with a rock and cursed it, she couldn't bring herself to blame the refugees. Because this was all the Everett's fault. Even if she said she wanted to help them, they would only see it as hypocrisy. She had to find another way. She decided to sell some of the jewels she'd brought with her when she married. Fortunately, her father had been willing to spend a fortune to make her presentable. But given her situation, helping them directly would only backfire and cause more resentment. She remembered something her brother had given her before he left, a magical artifact that could change her appearance. He'd given it to her for investigative work. She never thought that madman would end up helping her by accident. I'll use it to disguise myself and hand out food. That was her plan. But just as she had finished selling the jewelry, Theodor came to her door. I heard you sold your jewels. On the surface, Lily remained perfectly calm. But inside, she was trembling with rage. She had paid the merchant to keep his mouth shut. I didn't like those jewels anymore, so I thought I'd trade them for something else. You don't have to do that. No matter how bad things are in the territory, the Valentino family is still a duchy of the north. The allowance I give you is more than enough to buy jewels. Lily didn't want to argue, so she just apologized and said she'd be more mindful next time. She suddenly noticed Theodor's expression was completely off. She'd heard the spirit he contracted with was rather unstable. Could it be that he's still not well? He abruptly stood up. She thought that would be the end of it, but unexpectedly, he spoke again. After seeing the territory, she actually wanted to use gemstones to soothe her frightened soul. Truly Everitt's daughter, from now on, I won't let you see such terrifying scenes again. Please rest assured. Lily watched his retreating back. Aren't you going to ask if I was scared? I was almost strangled by an enraged man. Maybe you would have been happy if I had been choked to death back then. That would have gotten rid of a pest like me, right? Because so much had happened. Lily couldn't sleep. She got up to take a walk. To calm her mind, the faint sound of voices drifted over. If only I could be a little stronger. Did he just say brother? Just as Lily was about to leave, she was sharply noticed by Theodor. His eyes were red and swollen, brimming with tears. What are you doing here? I'm just taking a walk. Not just taking a walk. You were also spying on me crying, weren't you? Lily frantically denied it. I wasn't spying. But Theodor pulled her into his embrace. Investigating Valentino on your own was not a wise choice. Because no matter how hard you look, you won't find anything you want. Lily, that's not what I was doing. Theodor. Then, coming out alone at this hour, was it really just for a walk? Without even a maid. If it were you, would you believe such a thing? Lily didn't want to explain anymore. Think whatever you want. Theodor grabbed her. Come with me. The only sound in the hallway was their footsteps. Wait a minute. Lily was panting. He was walking far too quickly. Go inside, and don't wander around alone in the dead of night anymore. If they were a normal couple, Lily might think his tone meant he was worried about her. But they weren't. A moment ago, she'd actually wanted to talk with him more. If she said it out loud, he'd probably think she was a lunatic. Yet the man's actions were always the opposite of his words. The very next day, Theodor summoned a jeweler and even personally put the necklace on for her. It bothered her so much she couldn't sleep all night. Since she had told Theodor she would buy new gems, she had to put on a show. She had Charlotte call for a jeweler. The fact that he'd taken her hush money but hadn't kept his mouth shut, she was going to settle that score, too. It's clear now that you have absolutely no taste. She tossed the jewelry aside. She looked with contempt at the untrustworthy man and began to find fault with one piece after another. Until the jeweler brought out the final piece. It was an apple green peridot. It was obvious it would suit her perfectly, but Lily said the opposite. This one isn't that great either. A voice came from behind her. Then I shall be the one to purchase that necklace. Theodor was leaning against the doorframe. It was unclear how long he'd been watching. The jeweler's face lit up with excitement. He was finally saved. Theodor bought the necklace. He looked at Lily. So, in Miss Everitt's eyes, this necklace isn't that great? Well, even if you're not satisfied, please wear it. Because this is a gift from someone as humble as myself. and I wouldn't want others to mistakenly believe that the great daughter of the House of Everitt is being slighted. Right. After all, he thinks I'm Everitt's biological daughter. If he knew I wasn't even an illegitimate child, how would he react? Besides, I'm not from a noble family. He must look down on me even more. Theo is still waiting to put the necklace on you. Just lift your hair up a bit. Lily brushed her hair aside. She could feel Theodore was very close to her. She was so nervous she clutched her hair. The peridot really complemented her eye color. Lily touched the necklace and thanked him. Theodore froze on the spot. He lowered his hand, turned, and quickly walked away, as if he were running away. A short while later, Mrs. Seymour came to see her and told her that in 4 days, it would be the anniversary of Theo's older brother's death. So that's why he was crying. Theo's brother, Camille, died in battle while trying to stop the rift. He was only 20 years old at the time. Their parents also lost their lives after getting caught in a rift. I truly respected his mother and father. They deserved to be loved by all. How could such good people pass away so young? I can't accept any of this, including Camille's death. Even Lily believed that the rift in the territory was caused by her father. Let alone them, although she had never heard of her father having a way to control the rifts. But the timing of it all was too coincidental. Mrs. Seymour continued, Camille was a kind child. Everyone loved him. He absolutely doted on Theo. So when a brother like that lost his life, Theo was like a man possessed. And every year, as the anniversary of Camille's death approaches, that's why he becomes so sad. Lily took off the necklace. Seeing it just reminded her of Theodore. In truth, she had wanted to comfort him that day. It was only now that she realized how little she knew her place. This was a warning to her. Mrs. Seymour wanted to tell her to recognize her own status. Even if she saw Theodore looking sad, she was not to go near him, let alone think of comforting him. When she saw Owen and Hyson looking sad, she could turn a blind eye. It was the same with everyone else. But Charlotte was an exception. Because Charlotte was important to her. So why was it different with Theodore? Enough, don't think about it. Anyway, she only had 2 possible endings. Get killed or get a divorce. She couldn't afford to have any feelings. It was better to lock them up tight. Lily had a box in her heart. She would put the things she was afraid of into the box, one by one. Those feelings didn't belong to her, nor were they hers to have. Because every time she allowed herself to feel something, she would end up miserable. Lily stood in the rain, listening as all the mourners who had come lamented Camille's untimely death and pointed the finger at the Everitts. An umbrella opened up over her head. You should get out of the rain. Why are you standing here like an idiot? Theodore escorted her back to the castle. A figure in pink appeared, her voice sweet and full of joy. Theo, it's been so long. Her husband's gentle treatment felt like a nightmare to her. Even knowing it was an abyss, she couldn't stop herself from falling. The girl before her was so bright and warm, Lily thought. If he hadn't married me, perhaps Theo would be with her. Adeline had been Theo's childhood sweetheart. Their 2 families had even discussed marriage at one point. But after Theo's family fell into ruin, Adeline's father opposed the marriage, so it was called off. Maybe after Theodore divorces her, he'll end up with Adeline. For some reason, that thought made her feel unwell. Are you feeling alright? Lily looked at the 2 of them. I'm so envious of Adeline. The thought made Lily freeze. Why would she even think that? You look even paler. Lily said, it's nothing. You two, please continue talking. She turned and left. That night, she couldn't sleep again. If she really thought about it, had she stolen the place that should have belonged to Adeline? You know damn well you did. If it had been Adeline, she would have known exactly how to comfort Theo. But you can't. She squeezed her eyes shut, trying to silence the little voice in her head. Just then, Charlotte appeared to light some incense to help her sleep. Lily had never told her about her insomnia. She was surprised Charlotte had even noticed. The girl smiled. My lady, please rest easy. But how could she possibly sleep? Lily took the sleeping pills out of her drawer. For a long time now, she'd had to rely on these to fall asleep. When she opened her eyes again, she was back in her own dreamscape. If she dreamt of her brothers or Lennon, she would usually destroy them. This was her dream, after all. But this time, she'd made a mistake. The one who appeared was Theodore. He was smiling so gently, calling her name with such intimacy. This terrified Lily. She forcefully slapped Theodore's hand away, saying, stay away from me, as she backed away. Theodore looked bewildered. Lily, what's wrong with you? Why, of all people, did she have to dream of him? Wake up. She had to wake up now. Lily's eyes flew open. Everything around her was quiet. She was in agony, in so much pain that tears streamed endlessly down her face. It was just a dream. It didn't mean anything. Just then, someone burst into her bedroom. It was Theodore. He seemed to be drunk. Lily reminded him in a small voice. You're in the wrong room. He walked straight towards her, and collapsed just a step away. She had no choice but to help him sit down first, preparing to call a servant for help, but then Theodore suddenly spoke. I must be crazy. Why did I come here? She should have left, not come back to Theodore's side. But strangely, every time she saw him, she wanted to cry, because her heart ached so much and beat far too fast. She even wished her heart would just stop. From the very first moment she saw him, Lily had felt a sense of fear so great it was almost crippling, because she knew. She knew she was destined to be crushed by these feelings, and in turn, become utterly miserable. After all, she was in a position where she couldn't expect anything from him, nor could she freely give anything to him. So she had to smother this feeling. She didn't have the confidence to bear that weight. Besides, he was a Valentino. This was a kind of affection that would never be returned, feeling from which she could expect nothing. But even so, she wanted this moment to last forever. Later, after her husband had forced yet another kiss on her, Lily raised her hand and slapped him for the very first time. And that was the beginning of her heart's rebellion. As sunlight streamed into the room, Theodor woke up. He suddenly came to his senses and pushed Lily away. The hangover was making his head throb. What am I doing? He must be crazy. This was my mistake. It will never happen again. But unexpectedly, the girl suddenly grabbed him, her voice trembling. Don't go. It was as if she was desperately clinging to the last straw in a moment of despair. She wanted to say she wasn't an Everitt, that she shared no blood with those monsters. But if she said that, her only value in this political marriage would be gone. All she could say was that she didn't mind if Theo came to her, that it didn't matter how many times this happened. Theo's tone was laced with sarcasm. It doesn't matter how many times. Is this your seductive little trick? Too bad for you, it doesn't work on me. Lily looked at him, completely shocked. What are you talking about? Don't pretend you don't know. Didn't your father and brother send you here to seduce me? The day you just happened to appear in the courtyard. That was all for my benefit, wasn't it? A wave of shame washed over her. She tried to explain that she wasn't there willingly that day, but why would Theo listen? Are you trying to defend yourself? But this was your goal from the very beginning, wasn't it? Lily started to break down. I didn't. The girl's tears made him waver, but he quickly hardened his heart again. Even knowing you're acting, I was almost fooled. Tell me, what's it like, seducing a man you don't even like? No, I never thought of it like that. But the man suddenly grabbed her. Your words are completely unconvincing. I'll give you exactly what you want, Miss Everitt. He kissed her forcefully again, just like on their wedding night. Lily struggled, trying to push him away. But she couldn't move him an inch. Not until he let her go himself. Tell me, what does it feel like to kiss a man you don't even like? Or do you think this is nothing? Could you handle taking it a step further? Warming my bed every night like nothing's wrong? Lily finally couldn't take it anymore. She slapped Theodor hard across the face. You don't know anything. That's right, the noble Miss Everitt. Why would she ever want to be intimate with someone like me? Please forgive my presumption. Lily would sometimes think how much better it would be if she were a monster like her father. A monster incapable of loving anyone. Then she wouldn't feel any pain. But why wasn't she? From then on, Theodor's attitude toward her became even colder and crueler than before. But Lily still clung to a sliver of hope. She stopped Theo, telling him she was different from her father and brother, that she was forced into this marriage by her father. That she didn't want to hurt the Valentinos, but wanted to help them instead. But Theo didn't believe her at all. He just thought it was another one of her lies. After that, Theo was constantly fighting on the front lines to stop the rifts that were frequently appearing in their territory. Sometimes for a few days, other times for months on end. It became even harder for them to see each other. The words give up slowly took root in Lily's heart. She began to be ostracized. Even the servants started to torment her. Mrs. Seymour chose to turn a blind eye. Of course, things like that couldn't really hurt her, because the only one who could ever hurt her was Theodor. Theo refused to accompany her to the capital's ball. He didn't believe her when she wanted to plant medicinal herbs to help the residents of their territory. He ignored all her pleas for help. She was slowly losing her will to live, and she had come to accept the truth. No matter what happened, Theodor would never protect her. Her brother would find her from time to time, constantly reminding her that she was his. To her surprise, there were many men who wanted to buy her. It was as if they were all just waiting for her to divorce Duke Valentino, while her brother sized up their fortunes. She never imagined there would be so many men who, even if they could only possess her body, would be perfectly fine with that. Or perhaps, that's all they ever wanted in the first place. After all, only an empty doll can be perfectly quiet and beautiful. Theodor had only married her to protect his family and his lands. This marriage wasn't what either of them wanted. Her greatest misfortune was this. She had fallen in love with a man who despised her and her family, and still, she held on to a foolish, meaningless hope for him. Then, one day, just as she had given up all hope and resigned herself to her fate, the husband who hated her suddenly lost his memory. The husband who hated her lost his memory. No, that's not right. To be precise, he had forgotten only her. While closing a rift on the battlefield, Theodor suffered a severe head injury. By the time Lily arrived, he had already mostly recovered. Of course, her husband had always been strong. Lily didn't want to see him, so she turned to leave. But the doctor stopped her. Please, at least see his grace. It's better for his recovery if I don't see him. What do you mean by that? A familiar, yet strange voice called out. Theodor pulled back the bed curtains. The moment he saw Lily, he froze. It was a look she had never seen on his face before. Lily was so startled she blurted out, "My love?" Realizing her mistake, she quickly corrected herself. "Your Grace." But Theodor just kept staring at her. He didn't say a word. I should leave before he speaks, she thought. She stood to take her leave. Seeing her about to leave, Theodor finally spoke. "Who are you? What did he just say? Am I finally going mad? Am I starting to have hallucinations? I am your wife." But the words were stuck in her throat. She just couldn't say it. The doctor stepped in to break the tension. "Your Grace, do you not remember? This is your wife." "My wife? You're telling me I'm married? You were married over a year ago. You remember all of us perfectly fine." Theodor looked down at his own hands, then gripped his head in a panic. I don't remember." The doctor's heart sank. Theodor remembered every important detail except for his own wife. The doctor asked Lily if she could speak with him for a while, hoping it might jog his memory. And so, he left the two of them alone. Lily wanted nothing more to do with him. What if he forgot about her simply because he hated her so much? Just then, Theodor suddenly made a request. "Could you come a little closer?" Lily slowly moved closer to him. Theodor took her hand. He asked gently, "May I know your name?" "Lily." "Lily, that's a beautiful name. Lilith Everitt. That was my name before I married." Theodor's expression changed. His eyes widened in shock. Lily sighed in resignation. "You really don't remember anything at all, do you? You don't remember at all? Then go learn about me from someone else. That way you'll know how you're supposed to treat me." Lily pulled her hand away, about to leave. "Wait." Theo grabbed her arm desperately. Just as she had begged him countless times before, "Don't go. Please, don't leave, okay? Did I do something wrong to you? How did we even get married? I was hoping you would be the one to tell me. Is that too much to ask?" Lily's heart was filled with resentment for him. "Let someone else tell you. Still have some dignity, you know. I don't want to be the one to tell you myself. Now, please let me go." Theo slowly loosened his grip. Lily turned and ran out. For a long time, he didn't lower his hand. Theo stared at his palm, whispering Lily's name. From that day on, no matter how much Theo begged, Lily refused to see him. He learned from the servants that their marriage had been a transaction. He had only married Lily for the sake of Valentino. He vaguely remembered meeting someone about 2 years ago. Someone who was very important to him, but he couldn't recall the memory itself. Why had only the memories related to her vanished? His wife was gone. After being rejected for several days in a row, Theodor burst into Lily's bedroom. It was only then that he found out. She often went out alone. A duchess, yet she never even took a guard with her. And it seemed like everyone knew about it, except for him. The young maid clearly knew something, but she kept her mouth shut. When asked, she would only say that her ladyship often went for walks by the river. So, Theo began to investigate on his own. The man noticed a jewelry box on the side. He opened it. Inside was a peridot necklace. A blurry figure flashed before his eyes. A sharp pain pierced his heart. On the table lay a sketchbook. He picked it up and flipped through its pages, which were filled with drawings of a vast, endless field. "This is a beautiful drawing." The young maid quickly explained. "Her ladyship drew that. So, she can draw." Theo's smile made Charlotte freeze. But her expression quickly turned sad. Theodor Valentino, despite being reckless and willful, was always kind to his own people. Lily was the only exception. It was as if he was compelled to act that way. And the more he did, the more tragic Lily's situation seemed. Theo picked up a bottle. It was the sleeping medication Lily often took. He stared blankly at the vial in his hand. After a moment, he turned to Charlotte and demanded, "What is this medicine?" Charlotte went from being flustered to finally letting out a sigh. She decided to tell Theodore a few things. Meanwhile, Lily was in the village, handing out food. She was using a magical item to disguise herself, but the people here all recognized and were grateful to her. She's such a kind young lady. She even came to deliver blankets during the winter. If it weren't for her, who knows how many of us wouldn't have made it through the winter. Theodore's spirit power began to stabilize. The cracks in the territory had almost completely disappeared, and the magical beasts were no longer causing trouble. Now, Valentino no longer needed the Everitts. This was good news for Lily. Soon, Theo would probably ask for a divorce. This was exactly what she was hoping for. A familiar voice called out. She whipped around to look. It was her younger brother, Hasten. Although, he used to bring his men to patrol the area before. But they never ran rampant or oppressed the common people. Hasten roared, "How dare you curse the Everitt family right in front of me?" The people here hated the Everitts. Whenever they were mentioned, it was usually with insults and mockery. With Hasten's temperament, he would never tolerate such an insult. He drew his sword. "Make your choice. Do you want to be beheaded, or have your tongues cut out?" It was only then that the crowd realized the man before them had silver hair and purple eyes, and they cried out in terror. "He is a young master of the Everitt family. Truly a bunch of dull-witted insects. You're only just now realizing who I am? Go on, tell me how you want to die." Seeing that he was about to go on a killing spree, Lily had no choice but to step forward. Hasten noticed her. "Who are you?" "I am a maid from the residence of Duke Valentino. I apologize for blocking your path with my humble self. I wish to atone for their actions in their place." These people have had little education, and for the past year, they have suffered terribly from monsters and famine. That is why they are not in their right minds. They were just speaking nonsense out of grief. I beg you, with your magnanimous heart, to have mercy and forgive them. Hasten quietly waited for her to finish. The next moment, he laughed. Just a mere maid, you have quite some nerve. And you even understand such high-level etiquette. Lily replied in a low voice. Thank you for the compliment. Hasten suddenly burst out laughing. He violently grabbed her and dragged her in front of him. What do you think you're doing? Is this some new little hobby of yours? Lilith Everitt. His wife was being abducted. When Theo arrived, this was the scene he witnessed. After Hasten saw through her disguise, she was dragged into a secluded alley. Hasten's tone was full of disgust. What's with this ugly facade? Change back to your real face for me. After a flash of light, she returned to her original appearance. You're the Duchess, so why are you running around pretending to be a maid? I just had some things to take care of. Seeing he couldn't get anything out of her, Hasten grabbed her. He began to tie her up. Lily said, alarmed, what are you doing? Do you really want to marry that bastard, Lennon Chester? What's that got to do with you? How is it none of my business? As he spoke, Hasten tried to pull her onto his horse. The sound of galloping hooves grew closer. Lily never would have imagined it was Theodore. Seeing his wife's bound hands, rage ignited within him. Lily watched as Theo dismounted and stood protectively in front of her. He interrogated Hasten, what do you think you're doing? You'd better tell me the truth. The other man mocked, Duke Valentino. Since when did you start caring about this girl? Theo was stunned. You called her, this girl. Hasten pointed to his own head. Have you gone mad? Or did you damage your brain? Isn't she an Everitt, the one you despise so much? Why do you look like you cherish her so much? This is all an act, isn't it? Lily knew Theo couldn't answer, because his amnesia was a secret. If the outside world found out, it would become his weakness. She stepped forward. Hasten, even if you were joking, don't do this again. Lily intended to smooth things over. She turned to Theo. He was just joking with me. You don't need to worry about it. But how could Theo believe that? Why would you say that? He was obviously trying to take me away. Who in the world would joke about something like that? The look on Theo's face made him seem like a complete stranger. Lily suddenly wondered if the man he was before he lost his memory would have gotten this angry. No, she was afraid that even if she were taken away right in front of him, he wouldn't have reacted at all. There was no other way. She would have to try something else. She took a deep breath and closed her eyes. She began to control her heartbeat and her breathing. In an instant, she passed out, as if falling into a deep, bottomless sea. A feeling of suffocation washed over her. When she finally jolted awake, she was already back at the ducal residence. But at least she had shaken off Hasten. My lady? She looked toward the voice. Theo was standing right there beside her. This was just awful. Being near Theo made her instinctively uncomfortable, even though he looked like he was concerned about her. How are you feeling? I'm fine. Theo's face was a mask of conflict. You scared me when you suddenly stopped breathing. I've instructed the physician to keep a close watch on her condition. I see. Has Hasten gone back? He returned to his residence in Salzburg. Lily was surprised. Hasten actually had his own private residence? He had always been so proud of being in Everitt that he'd never even kept any private property. For someone like him to start holding things back, could there be a rift between him and the family? She didn't snap out of her thoughts until Theo called her name, realizing she had forgotten he was even there. Anyway, you don't need to worry about Hasten and me. He's always been that kind of person. Rude, and he has no sense of propriety when he jokes. Theo stared at her, his gaze unwavering. Finally, he sighed. I understand. You should get some more rest. However, if you'd like me to stay with you, no. Lily cut him off. That won't be necessary. The girl's cold, disgusted tone stung Theo's heart. Lily felt uneasy at his reaction. I mean, I want to rest alone. I feel uncomfortable when there's someone else in the room. It seems my concern was misplaced. My apologies. Theo stood up to leave. Just as he was about to close the door, he stopped and made a request to Lily. Next time, could you just call me by my name? The one person he never planned to let go of. And yet he had to hear from someone else that she was going to remarry. When Lily fainted, Hasten had acted as if it was routine. There that crazy girl goes again. Your Grace, you should be careful. She's doing it on purpose. She's especially good at manipulating people this way. But I suppose it doesn't matter to you anymore. After all, you two are getting a divorce. Why the surprised face? Did you actually plan on spending the rest of your life with an Everitt woman? After she divorces you, she's going to marry Lennon Chester. That girl's had a rough life, hasn't she? As if being married to you first wasn't bad enough, now she has to marry that bastard. Did you know he's been telling everyone that you and Lily probably never even had a proper wedding night? Theo looked at the medicine bottle on the table. What on earth had he done before losing his memory? What could have happened to lead to this? He summoned Calvin. He wanted to know about his past with Lily. I heard you've questioned the head butler and all the maids. I was wondering when you'd get around to me. To be honest, the way you used to treat her was perfectly reasonable. I'm talking about it from Valentino's perspective, but if you only look at Lily Everitt's life as a whole, it just doesn't make sense. Even so, I never thought you were a bad person. After all, she's an Everitt. Theo stressed, she is Lily Valentino. Calvin rolled his eyes. He was going to wait for Theo to get his memory back on his own. But since he insisted on knowing about the past, he began to explain. The first time you met her was 2 years ago, in the Everitt Duchy. You mentioned her to me after you got back. I remember thinking at the time, wow, so the invincible Theodore can fall in love at first sight after all. You couldn't stop talking about her. You even noticed all these little details you normally wouldn't. You said she cut her nails so short they looked painful. That she has a mole between her thumb and index finger. Hey, are you some kind of pervert? Who even pays attention to details like that? I thought I was going to lose my mind when I heard you say that. Theo was drawn to Lily from the very beginning, and he even admitted his feelings for her. He even thought about completely taking her away from the Everitts. But in reality, after they were married, he treated her with such cruelty. Something must have happened, someone must have interfered, or maybe there was some kind of misunderstanding. Before he knew it, he found himself standing in front of Lily's door. For a long time, Lily Everitt had endured the servants' torment. Maids would leave dead birds or rats by her window or outside her door. After Calvin investigated, he found they had been doing it for at least the last 6 months. He had warned the maids to stop, but it seems they started up again. And even so, Lily never said a word about any of it. About this kind of long-term torment. She chose to remain silent. She'd been suffering through this for a year and a half, maybe even longer. If one person hurts another for that long, can the wounds ever truly heal? Or is it easier than you'd think? No, how could it possibly be easy? The darkness in her heart might be far deeper than he could ever imagine. The one thing Theo was sure of was that Lily had probably suffered far more than just this. He wanted to ask the man he was before he lost his memory. Why were you so cruel to her? Especially when you were so drawn to her from the moment you met? She had smashed a cup and demanded of her husband. A relationship this broken, how can we ever fix it? Theodore didn't sleep all night. First thing in the morning, he went to find Lily. Have you been posing as a maid all this time? To help the people in the territory? If they were an ordinary married couple, she would have happily told her husband. Yes, I've been helping them all along. And then Theo would have praised her for doing such a good thing. He would have been grateful. But now, even if Theo was moved, she wouldn't feel a thing. Because all she could think about was how the Theo before the amnesia would have reacted. Not this man standing before her who had forgotten everything. It's just a hobby of mine. When I get bored, I give them things they need. That's all. Theo didn't press her, because there was something more important he had to ask. I had this medicine checked. The apothecary said it's a powerful sleeping draught. The ingredients contain toxic herbs that will harm your body. Are you really taking this every day? Lily looked fed up. She knew this was coming. I take it because I can't sleep. Every day? Yes, every day. The moment Lily answered, a blue flame ignited in Theo's hand, sweeping through the entire room. The bottle of medicine in his hand turned to ash. Don't you ever take this again. I had to take 2 to fall asleep yesterday, too. Maybe I built up a tolerance. They haven't been working well lately. Where is that medicine? What are you going to do? Theo started frantically searching everywhere. Of course, I'm burning it all. He burned all the medicine he could find. Now give me the rest. There's no more. Why on earth would you do that? Do you really not know? That stuff is poison. Taking it long-term will shorten your life. Lily. Well, that's one of its effects, isn't it? Lily's words sparked a suspicion in Theo. Could she be doing it on purpose? He was suddenly terrified, but Lily denied it. Don't get the wrong idea. I just mean that none of this matters to me. What do you mean by that? Lily didn't answer. Theo spoke again. I know now that I was cruel to you before I lost my memory. And while I can't pretend that didn't happen, I want to fix our relationship, starting now. I'll do everything I can. Lily suddenly burst out laughing. Fix our relationship? Your Grace, in your opinion, what should we do to fix our relationship? She smashed her teacup. It's already broken to this extent. How can you possibly fix it? He never expected Lily to be so absolute. It took him a moment to react. You're bleeding. The cut is deep. It needs to be treated. He grabbed Lily, trying to take her to a doctor. Theo's touch was the final straw that caused Lily's mind to begin to break. The doctor stood by the bed, giving instructions. Her ladyship must have complete rest. She was like a lifeless doll. Charlotte was worried sick. The moment Theo came near, she recoiled away from him. Please, I'm really so scared of you. Don't come any closer to me. The young maid held Lily tightly in her arms. Your Grace, I hope you will leave this room. I will take good care of her ladyship. Theo's expression slowly shifted from shock to despair. Finally, he turned and left quietly. Lily's feelings and any hope she had for Theodore had been completely worn away by the daily torment, until nothing was left but disgust and pain. Rumor had it that Duke Valentino doted on his wife endlessly, even though the two were said to be getting a divorce. The Duke was extravagantly gathering treasures to win his wife's favor, but in reality, Lily couldn't even stand the sight of his face. When she opened her eyes in the morning, she saw the young maid asleep in a chair. Lily woke her. "You look exhausted." "Ah, my lady, are you alright?" Lily's heart ached for her. "You've been watching over me all night, haven't you? It's because you were not only suddenly injured, but you also said you were very scared. So I was really worried. I'm fine now. I was just a little startled yesterday." "What about your hand?" "I accidentally broke a cup." The innocent young maid believed her. She began to lead Lily out of the room. "No, you need to regain your strength. You have to eat a proper breakfast. You can't just have a few pieces of fruit and call it a meal." Being cared for by Charlotte, Lily felt happy, at least for this one moment. The young maid hesitated nearby, before finally speaking up. "My lady, about those sleeping pills, it's all right. What's done is done. I'll just stop taking them." Charlotte's face lit up with happiness. "Really? To be honest, I also think it's better if you don't eat that. They say it's poisonous and bad for your health, right?" Just then, there was a knock at the door. It was the physician sent by Theodore, who would be in charge of her health from now on. She not only specialized in gynecology, but also in mental health. "Ma'am, were you aware that the medicine you've been taking has a side effect that prevents pregnancy?" "Of course I know. Then do you have any intention of stopping?" After an examination, she discovered that Lily's physical condition was extremely poor. Due to years of consuming poison and an irregular diet, even her blood and internal organs were abnormal. She was like a candle flickering in the wind. But Lily didn't care about any of that. Since Charlotte was so worried, she decided to at least try to cooperate with the treatment. With that thought, she looked at the girl. "Let's go to the library." Charlotte had a secret. She was literate. This was extremely rare for a maid, but she had grown up in a convent. She had learned from the monks there. However, being an orphan meant that she was ostracized wherever she went. That's why Lily often brought her to the private library. She let her read to her heart's content, and a blush would creep onto the girl's face. These were some of the few pleasant moments the two shared. They had become each other's only support in the Duke's mansion. Meanwhile, because of Theodore's behavior after losing his memory, news that the Duke and Duchess had reconciled spread throughout high society. Everyone had thought the couple was on the verge of divorce. But the Duke suddenly seemed to have had a change of heart, personally spending a fortune at an auction. He bought a gem with 300 years of history, said to have belonged to the last princess of the kingdom of Lachia. A necklace she wore at her wedding ceremony. Adeline listened to the gossip all around her. She was in a terrible mood and was caught off guard when another girl suddenly approached her. "Adeline, have you heard about the Duke and Duchess of Valentino? Aren't you the Duke's childhood friend? You must know something, right? Even though Theo and I are very close childhood friends, how would I possibly know what goes on between a husband and wife?" The Crown Prince appeared at the banquet with the Crown Princess and announced the upcoming spring hunt. His next words, however, sent a shock through the crowd. He would be inviting the Duke and Duchess of Valentino to the hunt. Whenever her husband begged her, seeing that hurt and pained expression on Theodore's face, Lily would feel a surge of satisfaction. She thought that after she had shattered the teacup, he would finally stay quiet. She never imagined he was simply enduring it all. Not long ago, Theodore had started calling her my lady, and she could tell he was hoping she would use his pet name. He was constantly hovering around her, writing letters and sending flowers. There were even piles of gifts. It felt like he was testing her boundaries, bit by bit. Then, starting yesterday, he suddenly became more aggressive. He begged Lily to accompany him to the Crown Prince's hunt. Lily only agreed out of concern for the public image of the duchy. But it seems he misunderstood her agreement as a sign she had opened her heart to him. Wasn't this supposed to be temporary amnesia? Why hasn't he recovered yet? She was running out of patience. If anyone dared to ask her, "Isn't it a good thing your husband has become so gentle?" she would probably just kick them. How could it possibly be a good thing? He doesn't remember anything at all. The man with amnesia and the man Lily once knew are two completely different people. He thinks he can just wipe the slate clean because he's forgotten the past. It's absolutely ridiculous. No one can escape their past. To her, this gentle, amnesiac Theodore was nothing more than a mirage. Like a sandcastle, easily washed away by the tide at any moment. She'd heard the prize for winning this hunt was the bracelet of Arendelle. It was one of the 7 great magical artifacts crafted by the Archmage Roxkel, who was famous for doting on his daughter. To bring out his birth father's memento, the queen is being so generous. That's what I was thinking. Maybe she's trying to show how much she adores the crown prince. I will win the hunt, no matter what, and give the bracelet to my lady. No matter the situation, Theo always insists on calling her my lady. It's like he has a split personality when you really think about it. He's not a cold-hearted person by nature. Well, he's just cold to her. She used to fight so desperately for even the slightest bit of kindness from him. But now that she doesn't need it anymore, he's finally starting to be kind to her. She didn't endure all this for some childish fantasy. Theo was still smiling. Oh, right, you'll need to ride a horse for the hunt. Why don't you practice with me tonight? The teacup crashed down again. I'll participate in the hunt. I'm only doing it for the sake of the duchy's public image, Your Grace. Don't think for a second that our relationship has improved. Your presence still disgusts me. That's right. She wanted to see that hurt look on Theodor's face. The feeling boiling inside her was finally taking shape, finally had a name. She once thought she didn't even have the right to feel resentment. She had just been quietly waiting for death, lost in despair and emptiness. But now, this feeling was raging inside her. Resentment that he never gave her a chance to be heard. Resentment for everything he's forgotten. While I remember every single detail, I don't want to expect anything from you anymore. How could I ever believe you? You didn't just ignore me when I begged you for help. You stood by and watched coldly while Lennon Chester was harassing me. I've told you before, there is absolutely nothing that can fix our broken relationship. I'm already shattered, so what could you possibly do about it? Get out, Theo pleaded, calling her name. I said, get out. If you insist on staying, then I'll leave. Theo shot up from his seat, chasing after Lily as she stormed out, and the painful memories came flooding back. Your Grace, please, I'm begging you, help me. All you have to do is stay with me until the end of the banquet. Please, what kind of trick are you trying to pull this time? Lily would never forget his ice-cold stare, or the way he callously shook her off and turned away. And she could never, ever forget the sight of his back as he left her behind, abandoning her to Lennon Chester and that pack of hyenas. That day, she was surrounded by a pack of vultures all wanting to marry her, and she had to endure their gazes as they tore her apart like prey. So I have the right to hate him, don't I? Even if I am an Everitt. Maybe there was a misunderstanding between us, but he's still the one who hurt me. So doesn't that mean I can hurt him just as cruelly? She shoved her husband away with all her might, no matter how much he apologized. Lily's rage didn't subside in the slightest. You don't remember me. You don't remember anything that happened between us. How could I possibly accept you? Don't understand how simply losing your memories could change you this much. Didn't you despise me? How could a feeling like that just disappear? Lily, there seems to be some kind of misunderstanding between us. I'll find out what it is and I'll fix it. Lily recoiled from him. There is no misunderstanding between us. The only misunderstanding is the one you have about me. Do you have any idea, with your amnesia? How ridiculous you sound saying these things. Maybe my amnesia is an opportunity. The day I lost my memories from that head injury when I saw you for the first time. The feeling that surfaced in my heart was clearly affection. Maybe that's how I truly feel about you. Perhaps some misunderstanding caused me to suppress that affection. Don't be ridiculous. Attachment? I have never once felt that kind of emotion from you. You've always just judged me however you pleased. It's not that my story was never properly told. In everyone's eyes, she was always just a possession of the Everitt family. Her future was already set in stone. To divorce Theodore, and then fall into the hands of Lennon Chester. If that moment ever came, she might lose the will to live. And choose to end her own life. But Charlotte hoped she would choose a different path. Why don't we run away, my lady? To a place where no one knows you. We can take a ship to the eastern continent, leave this place and live in anonymity. I will stay by your side forever. Theodore's spiritual power has grown stronger. Valentino has entered a period of recovery. Should she just let go of everything? And disappear from here? What if, before you find a reason for the misunderstanding, you regain your memories first? That would actually be better. Because then I'd immediately know what the misunderstanding was. What if you forget everything that happened during your amnesia? Theo tried to confirm something but was interrupted. What if, in the end, all that's left between us is another misunderstanding? Just give up. These words are completely meaningless. I'm tired, I can see my future so clearly. But I have no strength left to fight it. Theo knelt before Lily. I will do everything I can so that one day, you can trust me completely. But to Lily, those words felt hollow and empty. Trust was useless now. A few days later, the servants who had previously spread rumors about her and treated her poorly were all punished. Of course, this was all Theodore's doing. Lily had been considering dealing with them herself. Charlotte was indignant. They were on the same page. It's a shame we couldn't get revenge with our own hands. She's quite the fighter. If she weren't a maid, she'd probably be better suited as a mercenary or a warrior. Oh, right, about that information you asked me to look into, my lady. There was a fire at young Master Hyson's private residence, and Lord Owen has recruited a new mage. I heard that when that mage joined Owen's ranks, the timing coincided perfectly with when Duke Valentino suffered his head injury. It was about a week before His Grace the Duke left for the campaign. Just as she had suspected, Theodore's amnesia was intentional. My lady, you don't think the Duke's amnesia was? That's right, the Everitts would never allow Valentino to regain its power. It seems she would have to investigate the truth of the matter. For that, she'd need to meet the captain of the knights. But they had no connection whatsoever. What a pain. The moment the idea popped into her head, she wanted to give up. What was the point of her investigating all this anyway? Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. It was Adeline, making a surprise visit. Since Mrs. Seymour wasn't here, she was the one who had to receive her. On the way to meet the guest, Charlotte suddenly spoke up. My lady, would you like me to go see the captain of the knights? You can pass on the message that you'd like to meet him. Charlotte, you really are clever. She actually figured out that I wanted to see the incident records. I have to take advantage of Seymour's absence to make the first move. Adeline is in love with her husband. Lily had noticed it from their very first meeting. After all, she came to Valentino often, and enjoyed deliberately acting intimate with Theodore in front of her. In response, Lily would just quietly watch her little performance. Theo had no interest in her either. He only saw Adeline as a childhood playmate. Lily could sense his cold attitude toward Adeline. You could even say I'm sick of it. It's something even an outsider like her can see. There's no way she doesn't know. And maybe that's exactly why she's so obsessed with Theo. The main reason she came here today was to confirm the recent rumors about her and Theodore getting back together. What kind of face will she make after she confirms it? What kind of twisted expression is hiding behind that kind and lovely mask of Adeline's? I have a terrible personality too, you know. But you're the ones who made me this way. Adeline always looked so warm and kind. Lily, we haven't seen each other in so long. It's so good to see you. Hello, Miss Albinus. Don't be so formal, just call me Adeline. I was curious how you two were doing. So I came to see you. I heard Theo went out with Mrs. Seymour. Lily deliberately wore the necklace. It seems Adeline plans to pretend she doesn't know. The maid served tea. The taste was different from usual. Adeline spoke up. This is tea from the Eastern continent. How do you like it? It's a gift I brought today. It's very good tea, thank you. Don't mention it. Doesn't Theo prefer tea over wine? I can't wait to hear what he thinks of it. I hope he likes it. To subtly flaunt their connection right in front of his wife. If it were someone with a shorter temper, they probably would have already started yelling. But in the end, they'd just be seen as a petty, unreasonable person, because Adeline would surely well up with tears of grievance. And use that reaction to turn the other person into the villain. But she wasn't going to get hung up on that. It seems trade with the Eastern continent has been frequent lately, hasn't it? It's all thanks to the Delacroix Merchant Guild. They recently opened the shortest trade route between the two lands. This family controls the commerce of the entire continent. They possess enormous wealth, but their territory's military power is weak. They must be worried that once a rift appears, it will cause irreparable damage. In that case, their only option is to rely on Valentino, who can handle the rifts skillfully. Lily was also familiar with the young lady of that family. That lively and enthusiastic girl, she was a bit hard to handle, you could say. Oh, that's right. His Highness the Crown Prince is holding a hunt soon. He announced that Lord and Lady Valentino will be attending together. Is that true? There it was, the probing question. Just as His Highness said. Just then, someone knocked on the door. What is it? You need to come to the main hall right away. Mrs. Seymour has just returned. She's interrogating Charlotte. By the time Lily arrived, she heard someone demanding, "You're the only one who entered the Knight Commander's room. You must be the one who stole it." It wasn't me. I'm just a maid who attends to the madam. Why would I be greedy enough to steal from the Knight Commander? Although the scene was chaotic, Lily instantly confirmed two things. First, Charlotte didn't steal it. Second, besides Mrs. Seymour, there were at least two other suspects who could have stolen it. At that moment, Mrs. Seymour actually took out a disciplinary rod and was about to punish Charlotte. Lily instructed her maid, "Go and bring the Knight Commander here." Just as Seymour was about to strike Charlotte, she stepped forward. "What do you think you're doing?" "Mrs. Seymour." "Lily, you're just in time. Her maid stole something, but she keeps denying it. So I was planning on disciplining her." Lily stood in front of the girl. "Do you have any proof that she stole it?" She would never allow anyone to frame Charlotte. She began to use her own husband to protect the young maid. Lily no longer hid her dark side. Selena claimed that while she was cleaning the Knight Commander's room, she saw Charlotte come out. Shortly after, the Knight Commander reported his gold jewelry was missing. So she was certain Charlotte stole it. "This means you are the only witness. Then isn't it possible that you stole it?" "This could also be a lie you fabricated to frame Charlotte. As my personal maid, Charlotte's salary is much higher than yours. So who would be greedy enough to steal gold jewelry?" "The answer is obvious, isn't it?" "That's enough, Lily." "She is." Lily cut her off. "Have you searched the servants?" "That's what should have been done in the first place." "Seymour, there's no need for a search. We have a witness." "Lily, the person claiming to be a witness could also be the culprit." "Lily, let's start by searching everyone gathered here. Is that really necessary?" "I'm more interested in why Charlotte went into the Knight Commander's room." "I ordered her to go. Charlotte was acting on my orders when she went to see the Knight Commander. So for her to steal jewelry, doesn't that seem strange?" With that, she firmly ordered the search to begin. The gold jewelry was found almost immediately on the very maid who accused Charlotte. Someone nearby suddenly shouted, "Selena, you're stealing again. You were the one who took Lucy's missing earrings, weren't you?" "That's enough, Ella." Lily stood behind her as if she had expected this all along. "Even if you do this, it can't hide your crime. During a witch hunt, it doesn't matter if the witch being burned is innocent or not. People just need someone to vent their anger on, and they derive a dark pleasure from tormenting others. Rather than be attacked by such despicable malice, Lily believed it was better to just set it on fire. Charlotte was the only person who mattered to her, so any malice directed at Charlotte infuriated her far more than any directed at herself. Just like in this moment. Say shame. Even if you sold the Knight Commander's gold jewelry, It would never be enough to pay off your lover's debt. Ella's face filled with terror. What are you talking about? Even though Selena was the one who stole the jewelry, you were the mastermind. You made her your accomplice. And then you tried to frame her for it. Selena has a family of 6 to support. That's why she accepted your suggestion to steal. Seymour asked Selena if this was true. She started to cry. Ella made me do it. A while ago, my youngest child came down with pneumonia. My salary isn't enough to cover the medical bills. Seymour sighed. She turned to Ella. Who is this lover of yours? Is it that fiancé of yours? Seymour had arranged Ella's fiancé for her, because she came from the former Duchess's hometown. That's why Seymour took such good care of her, even arranging her marriage. But Ella had fallen in love with an opera singer, and she was carrying his child. Lily had learned all this when she happened to overhear Ella's conversation with a doctor while she was out doing charity work. What a strange coincidence. Seeing Ella crying, Seymour comforted her gently. What's all this about? Tell me, I won't blame you. Ella finally confessed everything, but what she got in return was a hard slap across the face. You filthy, shallow creature. Lock her in her room. She's not to take a single step outside. My lady, please, I'm begging you. Seymour slapped her hand away. Don't touch me with your filthy hands. Drag her away. What a complete farce. I never realized you knew so much about the Valentino servants. As the mistress of this house. Of course, I need to understand the people who work for this family. Seymour began to order Charlotte around. Put the gold jewelry down and leave. I'll return it for you. Lily stepped forward again. Mrs. Seymour, please, don't ever touch my people again. What? I'm warning you. If anything like what happened today occurs again, I will absolutely not let it slide. And just as you said, I know a lot of things. Her words sent Seymour into a humiliated rage. A sharp slap echoed through the hall. She had actually hit Lily. However, this was all part of Lily's trap. A mocking sneer flashed in her eyes. She hadn't expected that fact would make Seymour so furious. Just then, the pawns she needed to use arrived, their faces etched with shock. They had clearly witnessed the whole thing. Lily immediately changed her expression. Tearing up, she said pitifully, Your Grace, just as she'd planned. Theo began to fume on her behalf. She had been intentionally hid in front of her husband, and now she looked at him with tear-filled, wounded eyes. Just as she'd hoped, Theodore was furious. What is the meaning of this? Mrs. Seymour panicked, stammering, unable to form a complete sentence. Her earlier arrogance had vanished completely. He lifted Lily's face to check her injuries. Your face is already swelling. We need to put something on it right away. Aunt, why on earth did you hit Lily? While you may be surprised, I had a reason for doing so. I don't care what your reason is. You cannot lay a hand on the Duchess of Valentino. Not even you, an elder, have that right. There will not be a next time. You'd better remember that. Lily watched them with cold detachment. She felt nothing at her husband's defense of her, only a mild curiosity. If this were to happen again, what would he do? Seymour held great influence in the castle. So for now, they couldn't move against her. Theo refused to listen to any more of Seymour's explanations. He took Lily by the arm and led her away. Charlotte and the Knight Commander exchanged a look, and started to follow. Lily glanced behind her, where Seymour stood alone, looking completely helpless. She made a face. Serves her right. Although Lily said she was fine, Theo insisted on taking her to see a doctor. After applying some ointment for the swelling, the doctor instructed her to use an ice pack before bed. Her ladyship's constitution doesn't allow for just any medication. She must not take any medicine other than what I prescribe. Theo's brow was furrowed the entire time. Lily couldn't understand his expression. After the doctor's visit, Charlotte turned, and noticed the Knight Commander hadn't left. He looked a little awkward. She understood immediately. This is for you. It's my gold jewelry. Thank you. Lily stared at them. The man's eyes darted behind her and he froze for a second, then hastily said his goodbyes and left. Charlotte turned around to find Theodore standing right behind her. Thank you for your hard work. Is His Grace insane? Lily, you go back and get some rest. I'll handle everything else. It was only then that Lily remembered Adeline was still waiting for her. Miss Albinus was still in the reception room. I won't be able to make it. Could you please give her my apologies? Hearing that Adeline had arrived, Theo looked annoyed. You don't need to worry about her. Just go back and get some proper rest. As soon as she entered the bedroom, Lily just melted into a puddle. Nothing could stop her from relaxing. She learned from Charlotte that the Knight Commander had asked her to wait for him in her room. He had to leave for something urgent back then, probably to welcome Theodore back to the city. Charlotte waited for a bit, but when he didn't come back, she decided to leave. So, is that why his expression was a little strange when he rushed over with everyone? To think that Seymour tried to punish you without any proof, it makes me so mad just thinking about it now. Charlotte knew this was all to stand up for her. My lady, thank you. I'll go pick some flowers from the garden. Maybe seeing them will cheer you up a bit. What Lily hadn't expected was this: her original intention was just to ask the Knight Commander to investigate Theodor's amnesia. But it turns out he seems to have a crush on Charlotte. She used to love her husband's eyes. They were a vivid blue, even on cloudy days. But now no matter how he tries to win her back, Lily doesn't feel anything anymore. she learned from the Knight Commander that on the day Theodor lost his memory, an unusually large number of monsters had poured out of the rift. Other than that, there was nothing out of the ordinary. After they said their goodbyes, he called out to Charlotte. "If you don't mind me asking, are you free next week?" His eyes had been fixed on Charlotte the whole time. The girl replied with something, and immediately came back to her side. She lifted her chin. "I'm a very busy person, because I have to stay by my lady's side at all times." She had rejected the Knight Commander for Lily's sake. A few days later, news that Theodor had flown into a rage because Seymour had hit her spread throughout all of Valentino. He punished everyone connected to the incident. Compared to before, the servants' attitude towards her was like night and day. She knew full well that as soon as Theodor returned to his usual cold self, they would go right back to their old ways. She suddenly froze. Seymour was brushing past her. Her good mood instantly soured. "My lady." It was Theodor. A gentle breeze carried flower petals past them. "I'm sorry, did I keep you waiting?" Her husband smiled gently at her, his eyes full of affection. Lily wasn't one to make an unreasonable scene. At the very least, she would keep up appearances in public. "The swelling on your cheek has gone down. I'm glad it didn't leave a scar. Does he think I'm some kind of porcelain doll? This man who can be so gentle to others used to refuse to listen to a single word she said, no matter which one of them is the real him." Lily found it all utterly absurd. "I've arranged for a more comfortable carriage than last time. You shouldn't feel any discomfort this time." As soon as Lily stepped into the carriage, she pulled her hand away from his. She sat down and smoothed her dress. The next moment, Theodor followed her in. He sat down right next to Lily. "Just in case, I'll sit here next to you." He blushed as soon as he said it. "I can protect you better if I'm closer to you." What a clumsy excuse. Charlotte looked completely stunned. Has his grace gone mad again? The mage outside the carriage announced their departure. As the light flared, a fierce wind began to rage around them. A dazzling white light flashed, and the scenery outside changed in an instant. They had arrived in a lush forest. From the moment they set foot in the imperial palace, people around them had been whispering. Theodor was constantly by her side. This just confirmed the rumors that they had reconciled. The crown prince stood among the crowd. "I wonder who will take the crown this time. It certainly won't be me." He spotted them immediately. Well, who do we have here?" "Duke Valentino and the Duchess. I am so very pleased to see you two standing together. You seem even paler today than the last time I saw you, Duchess. You really must take care of your health." The last time they met was in the winter. The crown prince had come to Valentino to hunt white foxes for the crown princess, but unfortunately, he didn't catch a single one. It was Theo who caught 6 and gave him 3. After meeting with the crown princess, Theo suddenly called out to her, "Lily, I have something for you. I've infused it with my own spiritual power. It can protect you if you're in danger." The crown prince looked on as if he were watching a play, and those around them began to whisper. "It seems the rumors are true. His Grace the Duke truly dotes on his wife." Lily whipped her head around to look, and they immediately fell silent. It was so irritating to be the subject of everyone's gossip. Among them, there were surely people who had placed bets on her marriage. Could there be anything more twisted than betting on someone else's misfortune? Suddenly, there was a commotion. She looked towards the sound and, to her surprise, it was Hyson and Owen. Lily's heart began to race. What are they doing here? The two brothers looked at her at the same time. He was in love with his own sister, even though she was already married. But that didn't matter. They were going to get a divorce soon anyway. So, when Hyson saw Lily, the look in his eyes was completely undisguised. If it hadn't been for Theodor, he would have abducted Lily last time. Of course, there was more than one obstacle. There was also his brother, who possessed 2 types of spiritual power. "I hear you've seen Lily and Theodor? Word travels that fast, huh? You're supposed to call me, brother." Hyson, "Damn, brother." Owen, completely unfazed by his brother's insolence, said, "Tell me how they were." Thinking about it, Hyson realized Theodor had been acting strangely. Owen, it was like he was a completely different person, wasn't it? Like he had amnesia or something. That's right, he was acting exactly like he'd lost his memory. "Wait, how did you know that? Be honest, brother, did you do something to him?" But the other man just smiled. "Damn him, sooner or later, I'll make this guy kneel before me." "Hyson, you need to understand. Whatever I do, it's all for the sake of Everitt." The door had just closed when the sounds of Hyson destroying things inside could be heard. He had a furious expression. "Do you think I can't find out what you've done?" That was a small interlude after Hyson and Lily's last encounter. And now, they were meeting again. Theodor was completely on guard against them. Hyson's gaze was brazen. He had been staring at her from the start. Lily turned her head away, refusing to look at him. Besides Hyson's stare, she felt another one. In the distance stood a man in a cloak. The moment their eyes met, she felt a chill run down her spine. Those were not the eyes of a normal human. "My lady, that's the magician Master Owen has taken in." The time when Owen took him in coincides with when Theodor suffered his head injury. This gave her a very bad feeling. "Hello there, Lily." Owen walked forward. "And Duke Valentino. How have you two been lately?" "We've been very well, thanks to you." It seems my gift was to your liking. Lily looked at him, confused. Theo lowered his head and whispered in her ear. I'll tell you after the hunt is over. A young lady ran past them from behind. Sister, I'm here. She then turned to the other side. Brother, come over here. She called out to a man who had the same golden hair as her. Those are members of the Delacroix family. As the prizes were displayed, the Crown Prince excitedly announced the start of the hunt. Hyson kept staring at Lily. Lily avoided his gaze. After she mounted her horse, Theo came over again, fussing over her with repeated warnings. You should be fine with the knights protecting you, but still, be extra careful. Whatever you do, don't take off the brooch I gave you. I won't. Seeing Lily agree, Theo smiled and let go of her hand. Before leaving, he gave her one last reluctant look. Lily paid him no mind. She looked straight ahead, her eyes meeting Adeline's. Adeline smiled brightly. Lily, come over here. Who do you think will win today? I'm betting on Theo. This petty trick wasn't enough to faze her. Of course, I'm betting on my husband to win. Adeline's expression finally changed. The young lady from the Delacroix family suddenly appeared. Adeline, that's a strange question. Of course the Duchess of Valentino is going to support her own husband. Lily was starting to like this young lady who couldn't read the room. In front of everyone, she awakened the purest of elven power. In just a single moment, she slayed all the monsters and headed deeper into the forest. The bugs were becoming more and more numerous. This was why she hated places like this. The queen took out a potion. This can repel most of the insects. The current queen, Elamele, seemed kind, but she was actually a terrifying person. The king, who was once deeply in love with her, began indulging in other women after her father passed away. She brutally got rid of more than 10 of his mistresses. She was tolerant toward the weak who needed protection, but extremely cruel to those with ill intentions. And she was especially wary of people like Adeline. Duchess, you don't look well. Are you feeling all right? I'm fine. Thank you for your concern. Lily suddenly had a strange feeling. The Crown Princess asked with confusion, We've come this far, but we haven't seen a single rabbit. Doesn't anyone else feel that something is off? Suddenly, a chill ran down her spine. Her horse neighed in fright. After she calmed the horse, her bad feeling grew stronger. Adeline rode up beside her. What's wrong? Is riding a horse too tiring for you? Lily had no time for her. She shouted, Your Majesty the Queen, stop. The moment she finished speaking, a fissure appeared up ahead. Lily, how did you know a fissure would appear? I sensed a distortion in space. How is that possible? Isn't that something you can only feel if you have a contract with a spirit? The ground began to tremble violently. With a shattering sound, a giant claw tore through the fissure and reached out. Crimson eyes appeared, followed by countless monsters pouring out. The knights formed a line in front, shouting, All units, in position. Lily knew clearly that when it came to the beasts emerging from the fissure, only those with elven power could fight them. The monsters slaughtered the humans without restraint. Quick, fire the distress signal. This flare it's a dud. The voice stopped abruptly. Adeline stepped forward. Everyone, get behind me. I'm going to use magic. But only elven power could truly kill the monsters. Magic could only repel the weaker ones. To close the rifts, one must rely on the power of spirits. That is why it's decreed that every domain must have at least one spirit contractor. The Albinus family, who inherited the bloodline of mages, is incapable of producing a contractor. Miss Albinus, can you really fight off the monster? Adeline didn't answer. She closed her eyes and unleashed her magical power. A red light flared up around her, gathering into the shape of an arrow. It shot toward the monster, but the blow dealt no damage whatsoever. Instead, it only enraged the monster. It roared in fury. Her magical power was too weak. The enraged monster charged toward the queen. Lily rushed forward to block its path. Spirit energy erupted from her brooch. This is Theodor's power. The pure spirit energy held the monster at bay. But this won't last long. The reinforcements have to arrive before this power runs out. She felt that strange sensation again. It wasn't hostility. Instead, it felt like it wanted to help. Could it be a spirit from the Ashley Forest? Since ancient times, spirits have been born from all things in nature. But spirits don't communicate in human tongues. They use the language of nature. And without the ability to sense spirits, she shouldn't be able to communicate with them. But in the next moment, an ethereal voice echoed in her ear. Need some help? She didn't know what was happening, but Theodor's flame was already beginning to weaken. They were out of time. Please, lend me your strength. In an instant, countless giant wooden spikes erupted from the ground, impaling all of the demonic beasts.